Welcome to Zbroz Racing, home of Exit Shocks and RZFX suspension components. Today we just wanted to take a moment and talk to you a little bit about our shock line and tell you some of the differences and some of the reasons why we do what we do. We have three shocks that are currently available. We have what's called our XO, which is a non-adjustable shock, meaning there's no external compression adjuster. You still have your preload adjustment and your adjustment with your springs and your crossovers, but there is no external compression adjustment. We also have an X1, which is basically the same shock, only you have an external compression knob that you can adjust the compression dampening externally with the turn of a knob. We also have our X2, which is a compression and rebound adjustable shock that is also done by externally adjusting a knob. We don't have to have any tools. You don't have to get your screwdriver out of your tool bag to adjust our shocks. All you do is simply turn the knobs both on the compression side and the rebound side, which makes it a lot simpler for making tuning adjustments on the trail. The reason that we offer this wide range is so that depending on your application, whether you're just a trail rider or you're a racer, you can choose the type of application that best going to fit the type of riding that you do. Some people don't want to have the adjustment, and some people want to have as much as possible. Most of our applications allow for a piggyback design, which is simple. It also allows us to keep the passageway from the shock to the reservoir close and quick, so that there's not a lot of time between the actual oil leaving the body and entering the adjustment, which allows for more range of adjustment and also just simpler install. You don't have to worry about mounting the hose. There is certain applications where a remote reservoir is required, and so you'll have to mount that hose externally. In addition to building our three options of shock, XO, X1, and X2, we also build three different bores. We build for snowmobiles, ATVs, and side-by-sides, and the different weights of the machines require a different bore diameter. The first bore that we use on the front of ATVs as well as the front of a snowmobile is our 1.5" bore, and that's this piston here. All of our pistons are machined from a solid piece of aluminum, and then they're hard anodized. The other bore that we build is 1.75". We use this in a lot of ATV applications as well as snowmobile rear track applications. We just need a little bit more fluid flow in those applications, so we go to an 1.75" bore. And the last bore that we build is a 50mm bore, or we call this our 2-inch bore. It's actually 197 ID, or 50mm. We use this on our side-by-side applications as well as the rear of our ATVs. All of our pistons, like I said, are machined from a solid piece of aluminum, and they're a high fluid flow. We don't have anything that's restrictive. We like to do all of our tuning with our valve shims, and as you can see, the quality of this piston is as good as you're going to get. We try not to cut any corners when it comes to the internals as well as the exterior of the shock. Everything is hard anodized or anodized so that you don't have any corrosion or anything like that down the line, so that as you have these shocks year after year and you go through the sand and the salt and the mud and the snow and the water, they're going to last for a long time. You're going to be able to rebuild them time after time. Next, we're going to talk about springs. We offer a lot of different spring configurations. Single rate, like shown on this X1 side-by-side shock. A lot of the side-by-sides we're able to just use a single rate spring, which gives us the type of progression that we want, and we're able to do a lot with the valving, with dual stage valving, to give us some velocity sensitive dampening so that you have a nice plush ride on the small stuff, but enough valving that comes in and becomes active when you hit a high speed or a large bump. One thing to know about springs is everything we use is high tensile chrome wire, which the way you can tell between a high grade spring and a lower grade steel spring would be the amount of space that's between the coils. If there's not a lot of space between these coils, chances are the grade of wire is going to be lower. It's going to take more of a set, and it's also going to fatigue quicker and wear out quicker. We only use high tensile chrome wire. As you can see, there's a lot of space between these coils, which gives the spring, more deflection. It's able to compress farther without coil binding. On side-by-sides, coil binding can be an issue where you're cranking in a lot of preload. So you want to make sure that you're getting a quality spring, and here at Zbroz Racing, that's all that we use. We also have some dual rate applications for the side-by-side, as well as our ATV and snowmobile. The other application that we use quite extensively is a triple rate. And this X2 that I'm holding here, which is compression and rebound adjustable, has a triple rate spring set up on it. And the reason we use 3 springs or a triple rate is because we're able to fine-tune the progression of the shock or the spring curve with 3 springs. We have our top tender spring, which allows us to set ride height. Our middle spring is somewhat like a sway bar or roll control, and then our main spring, which becomes more active about midway through the travel of the suspension. All springs are active all the time, so it's kind of hard to get that concept in your head. As this shaft compresses, all of these springs are compressing together, but we're able to fine-tune the rate of each spring as well as these crossovers that are in here. And by changing these crossovers as well as the rate, we're able to just fine-tune that shock. So whether you're 120 pounds or 350 pounds, we're able to come up with a spring combination that's going to have a curve that is perfect for you. That's one thing we pride ourselves in here at Zbroz Racing is with our exit shock line, is everything is custom built. Nothing is sitting here on the shelf waiting for a customer to call and take it. Every application is different. We feel like by building that shock from scratch for you, we're able to get the information from you over the phone or through an email, so that when we build it, it's right the first time. And another neat feature to our shocks is we have our ride quality guarantee. And you have 60 days from the time you get the shock to call us back if there's something you don't like about the shock or the tuning of the shock. We'll take that shock back, we'll revalve it, and we'll respring it for free. And we'll send that shock back to you, and we'll do that until you're happy. We also build RZFX suspension components for ATVs, snowmobiles, and side-by-sides. We have quite a few long travel applications for the Polaris Razor right now. We're always working on more, so check out our website, zbrozracing.com, exitshocks.com, and rzfx.net. And if you don't find the question answered on one of those websites, give us a call, and a phone number and contact information is found on our website.